You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, segment 135.2, the girls wrestling sectional preview for all of the girls wrestling programs in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and northern Hamilton counties. Co-hosted by Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome back, Michelle. As you know, we've done almost nothing with wrestling and swimming, and part of that is our fault. Part of that is not, but we do. It is part of our plan in the future to have a full-time wrestling podcast, a full-time swimming podcast. But for this year, we're definitely going to get up for the postseason events, and starting on Friday, we have our first ever girls wrestling sectionals. Michelle, that's pretty exciting.
It is, I'm so happy for the girls. They've had it the last couple years, but it's kind of been like a club. It's not been the IHSA hasn't run
Right.
it, the Wrestling Association. And so they've gone and it's been okay, but it should be better with it being run by and sponsored, through the IHSA. And
Yes.
I'm just so happy for the girls. And there are some talented wrestlers in our area. I'm excited. I really believe that the four schools that I cover primarily, Elwood, Frankton, Tipton, and Tri Central, I think they each can get a wrestler out. I expect Frankton's Jaden Hughes to advance out. I know they'll get Hughes and at least one more. It's the older girl's first year girl that, and then I expect the Atkins girl to get out from Tipton. And I expect Philippi and I think Cardwell from Tri Central to get out. So definitely those. I'm excited. Tipton and Tri Central are at the Western Sectional. It starts at 9 a.m. on Friday.
Well, let me go through those real fast, Michelle. I'm gonna go through
Okay.
through all the sectionals, and then I will have you react.
Okay.
I do want to say that on Saturday we will have a girls wrestling scoreboard for the first time, and we will have all the results from all of these following sectionals. 16-team sectional at Western includes locally Tipton and Tri Central, as you mentioned, also Hamilton Heights, Kokomo, Northwestern, Taylor, and Western, of course. Also, Peru is there, Lewis, Logansport, Maconaquah, Northfield, North Miami. Again, we don't know much about these programs, so there's not going to be a lot to say about each one. But your thoughts on the sectional at Western?
Well, I think Hamilton Heights is one of the few teams that I think they actually pretty much fill a full girls team, which is outstanding.
Yes.
I'm going to guess that I don't really know, but I'm going to guess that Peru has probably a decent program. I know Andy Hobbs runs their boys program up there and has done it for years. And he's always, it's a good program. So, and wrestling is a big deal in Peru. So I would think hopefully that's carried over to the girls a little bit. And, Kokomo is a bigger school with athletes. So I'm anxious to see. Like I said, I think Tipton only has the one girl, the Atkins girl, Emerson Atkins. And if I said Branson earlier, that's her brother. Sorry, but it's Emerson Atkins. She just won. They had a great big tournament called WrestleMania at Lafayette, Jeff.
Yep.
And it was like conferences for like those schools that, maybe don't have big. She won her weight class.
Nice.
And
Yep.
Michaela Philippi of Tri Central has had some wins this year, and I believe she is state ranked. I expect her to advance. Abby Cardwell, their senior, I think she will advance. And Philippi and Atkins and Cardwell are all in different weight classes, so that's the nice thing. They don't, won't be eliminating each other or anything. So
it's possible we might even have a sectional champion or two.
Yes, it's possible we might have a sectional champion. The Tri Central, like with Tipton only having one wrestler in Tri Central, I think they have 5 or 6. Neither school will be in the running for the team title, but definitely individuals.
All right, at Alexandria at 8:30 on Friday morning. Of course, you mentioned Elwood and Frankton is in that one as well as Alexandria. Locally, Anderson and Eastern are also in that one. Um, Mississinawa, Marion, Madison Grant, LaPel, and Pendleton Heights, of course. I think Pendleton Heights has a couple of state championship contenders and one, maybe the best wrestler in the entire state.
Yes, they do. They have a really good wrestler, and don't ask me her name because it's really hard for me to remember these names, but I do follow on Twitter and everything. I'm more familiar with the girls that I cover. I think I believe Frankton's Jaden Hughes is also state ranked. I think she'll get out. Um, like I said, I think Frankton can have at least a couple other girls will get out. Elwood, I don't. Elwood did not have any CIC champions, or I'm not sure, and I don't know that they had a county champion, but they had podium finishers. So if you can have podium finishers in those meets, it gives you a shot at getting out in the sectional.
Absolutely. By the way, her
You
name
know,
is Maddie Marsh.
and Alexandria has a full team.
Yes.
Alexandria, and that should be a good team matchup, I think, between Alexandria and Pendleton Heights. I think they've wrestled before, and you and I both know once you get in these larger tournaments, the gap can narrow some. You know,
Yeah.
so
By the way, Maddie Marsh is the wrestler for Pendleton Heights. So,
okay,
and I believe she is just a sophomore. So,
yeah.
she was a state champion last year.
Well, that and Philippi for Tri Central is just a sophomore. Atkins from Tipton is a junior. Cardwell is a senior. Hughes, I think, for Frankton is just a junior. So it's there's a lot of young, talented wrestlers around, which I think is great.
Also wrestling at Alexandria is Carmel, Blue River Valley, Tech, Bishop Chatard, Cecina, and Mount Vernon.
Whoa.
Yeah. Muncie Central is at 9 o'clock on Friday. Locally, that includes Blackford, Cowan, Daleville, Eastbrook, Fishers, Hamilton Southeastern, Burris, Muncie Central, New Pal, Noblesville, Shenandoah, Westdale, and Yorktown. Also, in that one is Jay County, not quite local, Union, Modoc. All right, Michelle. So three local sectionals, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun for people to go watch. I encourage people to watch this, and in the future, again, we are going to have much more on girls wrestling, boys wrestling, swimming, gymnastics, bowling. Our goal is to do something for every sport. So just wanted to throw that
Yeah.
out there again.
Yeah, I am, I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's great. I hate it that their sectional is so early in the season. I mean, the boys sectional is at the end of January. So for the girls, to me again, it's that to say it's great that they've had girls thing, but they don't want to step on, I
Yeah,
guess, boys' toes or have extra. And it makes it tough because I think maybe the girls start only 1 week earlier, but then they have to end like, I mean,
yeah,
but it is what it is. It's nice that this is holiday break so they can do their sectional on a Friday. They do these sectionals on a Friday, and uh, they're not missing school. The girls aren't missing school. And I'm guessing they did it on Friday because there's probably some boys invitationals and stuff on Saturdays. Although
right.
in my area, I don't know that I have any boys. Well,
No,
Tri
but
Central has their own super duels on Saturday, but most of our other teams, they aren't, they did their tournaments last weekend and then we'll have them next week. So
and of course, you could make the argument that the boys shouldn't schedule their events on that day, on that Saturday, so the girls could have their sectional. But those events have been established for decades, a lot of times, and this is brand new. So you kind of get what they're doing.
yeah, you do a little bit and everything. And then I we're gonna have so I'm not really sure uh exactly how it's all gonna work, as it goes forward because you have, their boys are gonna be having their conference tournaments here in the next couple weeks and as they get ready for sectional. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a long day tomorrow. I could be wrong, but when you have that many teams in, and I know one of the reasons they put so many teams in, which I'm fine with that, is because there will be a lot of girls programs that will not fill complete
Right.
teams. And
Most.
and I
Most at
I
this point.
yes, most at this point. And what I hate is because that's the one thing where I hate it with boys too. I hate when you have the boys tournaments now, or you have a sectional and you may only have 2 106-pound wrestlers. So they don't wrestle till, I mean, they meet in the championship. It's
Right.
just, I just kind of hate that because as they go farther, and I think that's sometimes why it gets harder for when that happens, and that's usually at the smaller schools, and then sectionals that involve more smaller schools. That then when you get to the regional and you get to the semi-state level, it's harder for those kids to advance because they're not used to having all that mat time on a Saturday.
Absolutely, and I believe this is something that will fix itself as it becomes established as a sport. As you get youth girls wrestling programs established, it'll be something that goes away. But for the next, I don't know, half decade at least, it's probably something they're going to have to do.
Yeah, it is, like I said, I'm glad that they made them the sectionals bigger like that, so that there's actually
Yes,
um there's actually some wrestling that it doesn't punish some kids because, like in Tipton's case, they only have one wrestler, and it doesn't punish Emerson because there's only one wrestler on her team.
correct. And also the for the regional next week, the wrestlers who advance from Western will go to Rochester. That is January 10th at 9 a.m. Alexandria's wrestlers will go to Alexandria, as will the wrestlers from Muncie Central, Eastern Hancock, and Perry Meridian. The other regionals are at Goshen and Mooresville. So,
So what they're going to do is they're going to make the first week back. They're going to make the first week back for a lot of these kids. See, by doing this, then they're going to make the girls have to miss those girls miss school on Fridays. This is I just say that as says
yeah,
they are a student based organization,
yeah.
student athletes.
Michelle, I really believe, and no one complains about the IHSA more than I do, but I believe this is probably a temporary thing while they figure out how to move those events for the boys that are already scheduled for those Saturdays.
Well,
And
I hope so because I mean I do say it. I hope so because I just you see the girls having to miss more school for things like that, like in the fall, girls golf, and and now
yes,
wrestling, and I think that's where I'm getting at, and you see fewer numbers in girls sports overall, and I kind of that's a discussion for another day. We'll get there,
you're
but
you're
I
absolutely
do
right
think
about
that
that.
just has a big part in that.
I think you're absolutely right about that. And these state finals are scheduled for January 17th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. What a great place! I love that
Yes, it
place.
is.
And the that starts at 9:30 a.m. on the 17th. So expect to have some local wrestlers there. Looking very forward to seeing what happens on Friday, and we will bring you all the results on Saturday. Thanks so much again to Michelle for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. She is the best. And thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please go like, subscribe, or follow us. We are on all the major podcasting hosts. And we're also now on YouTube. You can subscribe there so you don't miss a single segment. And if you would do us a huge favor and tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report, we would really appreciate it. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.